Welcome back. You're watching the midweek edition of Business Morning on Channels Television, and we're broadcasting live from Lagos, Nigeria. Well, earlier on the show, I told you that today on the program we're going to be looking at the World Trade Organization trade agreement and specifically implications for Nigeria. I'm being joined on the program by an international trade consultant, Obiora Madu. Good morning, Obiora.
Morning.
And also from our Abuja studios, I'm being joined by the President of the National Association of Nigerian Traders, Ken Ukoha. Thank you so much, Ken, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Harriet.
Well, Obiora, let's start with you. The World Trade Organization has been in existence since 1995, thereabout. And what really are the main objectives of the organization, and how much of this has been achieved?
Well, before the coming of the World Trade Organization, you had other agreements like GATT and General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. Then at some point, with the coming of globalization, it was obvious that the GATT was no longer meeting the need of trade development across the world. So WTO was born. The objective, of course, was to help liberalize trade, break down trade barriers across the world. That is the key objective. Of course, after a long, close to 8 years Uruguay round of agreements, then WTO was born. Then in the course of WTO, of course, the issues were not subject to the agreement of everybody, but that was never achieved. Of course, in the last 7 or 8 years, the Doha negotiation has been going on and nothing seemed to have been achieved, which is what makes this last meeting very significant. So objective to liberalize trade, but the issue has always been, you have the developed world, you have the developing world, of course you have the least developed. So I don't know how you expect to come on a table with everybody looking for what suits them and then get an agreement between. So it's actually a tall order. But I think the latest meeting has, at least for once, brought some smiles in the face of those.
We're going to be looking at, yes, those packages that was actually decided on during that meeting. But Ken, let me come to you now. You're the President of the National Association of Nigerian Traders. And we know that Nigeria became a signatory to the WTO in 1995. From then till now, do we have anything to show for this membership?
Yes, Harriet, thank you very much. Actually, Nigeria became a member of the WTO in 1995, and I'm sure you know that the nation was regarded as a pariah state at that point under the Abacha administration. And the truth is that I'm sure almost nobody took any time to look at the contents of the agreement, because as a pariah state we are ignored, and the government in power at that point wanted to belong to the Committee of Nations, and therefore they could do anything, just to put their signature on a paper that was not looked into. And since that time, I tell you, even though the WTO, just like Obiora said, came in as a process of negotiations to the Uruguay round that culminated into the Marrakesh agreement that was distilled down by the then GATT, the General Agreement of Trade and Service on Trade and Services Director General Otto Dunkel, who teased out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of theses that were thrown onto the negotiation table into about 500 pages. But then, since that 500 pages came in as an agreement that was signed, as that brought about the WTO, my question, and some other analysts also have wondered what has been there for developing countries. What is it in there for countries like Nigeria? A place, WTO is like a table where big boys come in and just toggle some papers and drop in some kind of proposals and say, look, let's discuss this, and then whether it is trade or not trade, and then before you know it, it becomes trade agreement. And because they play they play the piper and they dictate the tune.
Okay, now so Ken, looking at this history now that you've just given to us. Sorry, Ken, let me just come in here. Looking at this history that you've just given to us, 19 years now, Nigeria has been part of the WTO, and have we just started seeing any form of commitment, so to speak, by the Nigerian delegates, as the Nigerian Trade and Investment? Have we begun to just see them now being active members of the WTO?
Quite frankly speaking, I was a member of the Nigerian delegation to the just concluded ministerial in Bali, and I think I was one of the few state members, those that do not belong to any government. Therefore, I stand the position to state the clarity, the position. My assessment is that, and I've said it earlier, that I raise my thumb to the present Honorable Minister of Trade and Investment. Why am I saying this? Dr. Ganga surprised many of us in the sense that he really took over the negotiations in terms of leadership, and everybody was looking up to him. We could see, people from, we could see delegations from the United States, we could see delegations from the UK, we could see delegations from the European Union, we could see delegations from India, we could see him moving as an arbiter. Okay, Nigeria became a darling where everybody wants to, who everybody wants to cut, and to that extent, we saw that the delegation of Nigeria did quite frankly well in assessing the issues and then knowing exactly where to stand. Now, I also say that prior to the Bali ministerial, the fact that we were able to sit down and look at the critical issues. In fact, the agreement on trade facilitation, the proposal was looked into very critically, and every point there was detailed. Every ministry, department, and agency of government, including organizations like Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, NASIMA, all of these came onto the table and looked at this severally before we did a final discussion that marshaled out our positions on a Friday before we left for Bali on I think a Saturday. So to this extent, Nigeria was really in charge and in control of the game.